Cool. All right, everybody, welcome another day. So I'm gonna go through three scenarios today. All of them were this week. One of them was dollar to get my bias, and then which led to a Euro USD move that was up here. And I think I had maybe one more. I'll go over the indicator here for a bit. I'll go over this stuff. And then we can go over, I guess, some of the asset stuff too, go over the bias for dollar, and then just do some case studies from there. So yeah, we can go ahead and get started here. All right, with dollar, pretty much before, after. All right, this was on Tuesday. So let me go ahead and pull up that chart. Okay, so Thursday. Okay, so as you guys know, we've been super bearish on dollar for the most part. Um, I've kind of just been kind of just riding that wave. Just to put in a summary, if you've been watching the past couple of Zooms, you guys know that pretty much since we were around this high here, we've kind of just been bearish based on a H12 point of interest, meaning that because we took out right this final structural internal range, then we can solidify this as a recent high. This is a recent low, and we came back to Fibonacci 71 POI, and I'm expecting this to keep delivering down. Like we've been expecting this kind of just for the whole since like 2 weeks ago. I think last week we did have a big recovery, right? But when it comes to that type of recovery, we came back into a daily POI, and then once we came into that daily POI, right, we swept internal highs, meaning that we can do the exact same thing internally. So technically, right, came back a little bit deeper, but more importantly, we came back into a um, daily point of interest. So from the daily point of interest, we had news last week. Last week, and so the first 3 days of this week were kind of just used as pretty much like a recovery to fill in efficiencies and fill in mitigations based on this big impulsive move from last Friday. So on Tuesday, right, I had my Asia session bias here, and I was going to look for a London position. So my London position came from a sweep model here. So the sweep model, let's say, came in from here. Right, the sweep model, we have one resting high. We kind of purged it here a bit, but once we took out the external high here, right, if we were to zoom in, I believe it was M3 or M5, if I recall correctly. Yeah, we had the M3 engulfing right after we had swept this not only the Asia high, but the previous day's high, which was the Monday high right here. And if we look back at the picture, I believe this also fit into an M10 uh engulfing here. So right, the main thing here with me, especially with the sweep model, I don't like to well, I do like M5, M3 engulfing like sweep engulfing models, but they're not as consistent as like M10, M15 have been. M10, M15 have kind of just been like my favorite time frame for this type of model. So if you come back and look at the image that I showed here, all right, the gist of pretty much what I was saying here is, right, we're seeing the purge of the high, we're seeing the big engulfing on there, and we're coming back to mitigate, right during right during London session. So during London session, right, if I'm seeing this maybe around like, let's say the hour or 2 hours in between that I have for my Asia session range to the London Open, then I probably wouldn't take it. If I have that London session like active at the time, and I'm catching the mitigation of the manipulation from the London Open, then I can justify more so getting into that position just because then I can probably capitalize off of the momentum and volume from that London session open into right coming into New York Open. So that's pretty much the whole gist of that scenario here. And this created the bias, right, for what was the after, but this created the bias for the sell that was in EuroUSD, right, which is here, right, which is essentially the same thing. If one high, two high, we purge this, but this one wasn't as clean, right? Like if I'm looking at this here, oh, I'm sorry, that was this move here. I'm sorry, but my sell was after that in the New York session. So if I'm looking at this here, sorry, right, one high, so one high, two high, we do come into the New York Open here, and one second, I'm sorry, this is the wrong screen. So we come into um, the result of that bias from the initial before after was the position, which is pretty much this buy model here, right? So this buy model then reached its target, which was the second TP or the TP of that DXY model or the dollar model. So once we had purged this previous high, right, it's actually in alignment, right, with previous momentum. So I am, for the most part, right now looking to continue, right, that internal momentum, right? Because even though we did get the transition sweep model here, the objective of this is to take out a previous high. Not that this is not because it's the Asia high, but because it's the immediate high. So once the immediate high is taken, we come into New York session, right? We then purge this high, and I think it was an M3 where I saw a traditional sweep model. This wasn't actually a sweep engulfing. This was actually just a traditional sweep. So by the traditional sweep, I mean we come in, we take out pretty much the target of this internal A, B, C range that is obviously heading for the target of the previous high. We then purge that high. We do have engulfing here, but that's kind of irrelevant on this time frame right now. But the gist of why I was looking to sell here was the fact that we had internal structural disruption. Internal structural disruption. Why? Because if we are taking this internal high, then this low is now the pullback of low, high, retracement. And then with this pretty much confirming a structural disruption, then once we took out the low that was considered the pullback, I was looking to take the internal move here. This is pretty much where my position is on that sell model. And the thing is I didn't put my stop loss in the POI. I put my stop loss at the invalidation, which is the invalidation of the sweep model, which would be up here, right? So even though I technically didn't get the timing right, um, and potentially my sweep model is, or I mean, my structural disruption internally might have not been valid. It actually worked out just because of the external high being purged and this being the remaining high of that session. So if I was to have been a little bit more conservative, then I could have waited maybe not for the micro, not the micro structural disruption, but more so the structural disruption. And by that, I mean where once we took this high, because there's this high that took out this low. So now this, then from a scalp rather than a micro, this would have been the low that solidified into because of this break here. And then once that is to break to the downside, that continuation BOS there from the external POV, this would then be a potential fib sequence here. And then this could have been a very conservative entry. And then this entry you probably could have justified to be there just because there is a scalp solidified point rather than just the micro. But I don't want to say lucky, but I guess this is why we have to trust in invalidation points. And the objective of that scenario was to take out this previous low just because we are trying to, like I said, we're trying to favor that previous intraday direction. So that previous intraday direction would lead into here. Let me delete all this other stuff. And that would have led right into TP, right? So I could have probably held longer. Um, there's a couple of things I'm still checking with the implied sweep. Like this is a traditional sweep model, but with the implied sweep and the engulfings, there's still like one or two rows that I'm still going to implement. And I'll go over it here because it's one of the reasons why I took my loss on USDCAD on Wednesday. So that's probably what we can look at next. USDCAD. Yeah, I had missed my sell pretty much missed myself from the top up here. So the general consensus of my buy here was if we are looking at this from let's just go to 30. 30 is easier. If we're looking at this from just the direction of the external trend and the internal trend, let me use I'll just use the annotations on here. My general consensus is that we are looking at this high breaking this low with high momentum. High momentum, that's showing to me intention and that there is a like very, or pretty much a lot of volume coming down this side. So if I'm seeing a lot of volume momentum into one direction, I find it a lot more difficult, especially when we're not dealing with scalp timeframes, for this to kind of just start rolling over and kind of just invalidating that move completely, right? I want to see the momentum be used as a catalyst to give me the intention that we're probably going to continue lower. So when I'm looking at this now from the internal POV, I can now justify that if I'm looking at internal structure, okay, we have now justified the pullback to be continuing, right? And we now have an internal high, right? This pullback low is solidified from this break here, right? And we also broke the external high there. So we now have this leg internally from the bullish POV. But internally, right, we do have an LGC model, right? And this is not necessarily for an entrance. This is more so for a bias, right? You can use your models to not only enter a trade, but to frame a bias as well. So because we have the LGC here, right, we purged this high and then we took out the solidified low that led into that high. Then I now have an internal structural range. But this internal structural range is not necessarily justified and it's not solidified until that break is there. Why? Because we need the preliminary break to solidify a range. Excuse me. So once I noticed that and we had taken this internal high out, okay, then is there a POI, or more importantly, is there anything internally that I can use to potentially take this trade? So there was a H1 point of interest here. You can see that very clear buy to sell candle that led into the engulfing, that led into the disruptive move that created the internal structural range that favored the external here. So my position was here. I was actually looking for, excuse me, I was looking for a transition right into the downside. So clearly we are bullish here, right? Because we need to be bullish in order to reach that that H1 POI. But the reasoning for my entrance here was the fact that we had right a POI that gained a reaction and then gave me order flow disruption with engulfing candles on the M5, right? But even though it's the engulfing candle, more importantly, I have the OFD here that's in play. So my position was to take the POI candle into the downside, right? With my validation, obviously here at the high. And I was obviously looking for the external low, which is, right, if I'm playing the fib sequence, then I'd be looking for the negative 27, which is what the reasoning for this bias of the LGC to the LGC model. So that would have been aiming here, but I was actually just aiming for these lows, and I just thought this was extremely justified just because of the structural range being solidified. We had the internal model, but unfortunately, this just took way too long to give me that delivery, and this is where it gets a bit tricky because if I was to see this exact same setup again, I probably would take it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad trade. That like I'm not necessarily too angry about this loss just because I did have the justified model in play. But what I failed to realize was that this internal model, right, this is the first time that we break any low that led into that high or lows that were solidified. This is the first time that we broke any kind of low there. So this is a continuation break of structure. So no matter what, once a low here is solidified, I have to be looking for, right, the previous high, because we always have to assume the ABC leads to the D. So once we have that if I would have acknowledged that at first, then I would have known that once we take out this high here, this low is solidified. So now we have a low high retracement, and this should lead to here. And then if we have a sweep model based on that, then that makes sense. So unfortunately, this is just like a unfortunate loss for me. And if I was to have actually just waited or have not been too aggressive with this entry, I think I could have gotten in. I think it was M10. I could have probably taken the implied sweep. Yeah, if I took the implied sweep, then right, it would have been a different story because I can take it off the closure once we have the this high be purged, then I can justify the sweep model because we have completed an ABCD leg, right? The ABC leg there. So once that is occurring, then I can now justify that. So that if you guys want some free game on the sweep model, then let's say we have an external trend, right? We then have an internal move, right? Then let's say this break here solidifies, right? That low or that solidifies, right? This low because of this break, but it emphasizes that we have a bullish or bearish structural range, sorry. Right? This doesn't mean here that we take an engulfing, right? That doesn't make sense. Or it does make sense. It does work occasionally, but if you want a more conservative entry, then now we zoom in here, and obviously we have bearish structure. So let's say we do have an engulfing that overtakes previous structure. Well, unfortunately, this is just the CBOS for the internal leg. So if you have one sweep here, let's say that line is here, then we still have to wait for the ABC leg to be complete. Once this is complete, if you have a bearish can or a bearish engulfing, right? Let's say, especially like on an M10, M15, then brother, this is one of the better sweeps that you can take, right? That's kind of like free game for today. If you have external sweep, internal sweep, or external unsubstantial new high and internal sweep, then you have essentially an A plus implied sweep. So that's pretty much what the book is going to cover for the most part. Just all the expectations, the structure rules, applications of this, variants, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that was my mistake on there. Very avoidable loss, but it is what it is. Like I could have played this way differently, but this actually ended up going way further. So if I would have actually played maybe even the entire intraday move, then I could have maybe seen something way bigger. Yep, but it is what it is. So overall, that's the three scenarios I have. My loss. I hope that loss helps you guys in some type of way. Any questions, concerns with this loss with the sweep model? We enter at the
You
closure of the
got
candle.
Wyckoffed.
I did get wiped off. Yes, I did get wiped off. Yes,
It's a
yes, yes.
PO1.
Yeah. It's essentially AMD.
Yeah, it's
I did
basically
get wiped off.
it's a 1, 2, and then and then you fall through the ice.
Yeah. That the fix to that is literally just if you focus, you wait on the ABC or the ABC sweep, and then oh shit, and then if you can get a pullback, that would be awesome, or you could just use the entire buy to sell, but then that
Yeah.
would be
Your
ideal.
entry was more of a hoping it was a PO2
I was trying to
because
catch a high. I was trying to catch a
yeah,
high. Yeah,
yeah.
is what it is. But yeah, hopefully that helps. Because I was like kind of like what the fuck. But if I was to have been a little bit more cautious, then I'm sorry, once this high created that new low, and we then broke this high here, I could have exited like at break even, just because it is technically an LGC with the scalp here, and then I could have waited more. But I don't think this
It's still good.
gave
It's
an
still
internal
good.
transition. Yeah, I don't think this
Could have
gave a
been
transition.
super high RR.
Yeah, because look, it gave a little internal Wyckoff here. You see?
Yeah. These market
But
makers, man.
you've been watching the channel, huh?
Yes, yes, yes. He
Yeah,
is an eye opener for sure.
yeah, he's
Sure.
cool. He's cool. I like him. He's
Very
cool.
cool.
If you guys want free game, like if you guys want free game like on YouTube, watch these two guys. YouTube, watch two guys by Skag and watch what the fuck is his name? Wyckoff
Insider, yeah.
Insider. Yeah. Those two guys, legit as they come. If you guys have been around for a while, this by Skag, he's actually the guy that introduced me to Wyckoff like 6 years ago. He was the guy. Like if I was to ever credit someone as a mentor, it would be this guy. Like I don't trade like he does.
They swing,
Um, they swing. What do you mean?
like swing positions.
Mm, Buy Skag, yes and no. Yes and no, because he's been doing like these like futures funded accounts. I don't You can't really swing because you can't hold to the next day. So he's just been intraday trading. And he has like a cool little indicator. I don't know how his indicator works, but I like the adjustment that he did with the engulfings. So I've been trying to apply um that engulfing in that way because I've just been using engulfings the whole year. But these are probably the two best YouTubers you can watch, if I'm being honest. One Wyckoff Inside. I like how he trades his I like how he trades Wyckoff. It's he I don't watch too much of his stuff, but from the most part, from what I see, he's really good at analyzing ranges and then trying to kind of use the AMD. If you guys know what AMD is, I don't know who created AMD, if I'm being honest, but AMD, if the only other thing I can relate AMD to outside of Wyckoff is something that used to be called Phyrexia, the Phyrexia pattern. The Phyrexia pattern was a range that led into a false move and then gave a opposing move after that. So that's kind of what AMD is, which is accumulation, manipulation, distribution. But the first time I ever saw any pattern like that was that Phyrexia pattern. There's even like a book on it, but I think he got exposed or something like a couple years ago or something like that. But but yeah, overall, the cool YouTubers, really cool YouTubers. Other than that, I don't really watch much more content than that. I think like I don't really like to dedicate too much time to watching content. But yeah, any questions, concerns with this UCAD or with the previous
I
EU?
have one for EU.
Mm-hmm. The sell.
Yeah, I actually sold there as well, a little bit differently, but I adjust your target because if you zoom out a little bit, we we gave that super big move. Yeah, this one, and I feel like this is too much of a discount to look for sells that go this deep in my opinion. If you can
I
tell
thought
me why
the
you
I
chose
thought the
these,
opposite. I thought the opposite. I think this was too deep for me to look for buys
really, I thought,
because of this high momentum here.
yeah, I
So the high
see. Because I
momentum.
was like, this is a POI right here,
Mm-hmm.
right? And because we already sweeped and solidified, I was like, okay, this is where we continue higher.
Mm-hmm. So
You understand where I'm from?
that's the hard part with trying to correlate like a bunch of levels of structure because like this is one move or that's one leg, sorry, or one level of structure, right? This is the internal level structure of that, and then this is the internal level of structure with that, and then this is the internal level of structure in that, and then the position that I took was based on the level inside of that, right? The internal transition here. So, when it comes to using all of these, like because I'm referencing this as a range in play, right? Yes, even though we had the sweep, this this break here is the solidification of the low. This is
Yeah.
the low of, let's say we can solidify this as the high, just because it's the last time we took a high. So I'm looking at this level of structure, right? This level of structure is kind of irrelevant to me. I'm now more so focused on not this, not this, not this. I'm focused on the leg being solidified, the CBOS, a sweep model based on the two internal levels there. So that's 1, 2, 3 levels of structure, and then right, looking for the low here because I'm looking for the continuation of this leg.
I see. Now I
So if
understand.
I want to reference this, then okay, then I can't be on M5 if I want to use this leg. I probably have to use like M15. Let me see. Right. So this is the problem here, bro, is that at the time, if I wanted to reference, oh, if I wanted to reference, right, this as a bullish leg, I technically can't yet because if I'm looking to take a buy here, it doesn't make sense because range in play, right? That's the range in play, right? We do have a pullback, right? We do have solidification of the high, but we then, right? We didn't break, we swept, right? Like a break is like the distance of like here to here. Like
This
that's
structure
the
was hard, yeah.
so that's the hard part about like unsubstantial new highs, like because it's so hard to for me to be able to tell you the difference between the distance of this type of break and then this type of break. Like it's that's always been pretty hard for me to try to explain. But if you look at distances, this is clearly a break of structure, whereas this is an unsubstantial new high. Right? I don't know how else to describe it. Like I would have to really sit down and think about it. But this sweep here, right, gives me the idea, or this can be the cause, right, that we may need more liquidity here if, and then we would have to convert to bullish to then be bullish. But that last part about potentially converting here to bullish, that's super optimistic. Like I have to
That's
play
what
the
it
range
did
that's in
though.
here. Yeah, it did, but I
That's
couldn't
what
assume
it
that.
did.
It
Crazy
did, but
part.
it's too soon to assume that.
You know why it did though? Because if you go on the daily,
Because if we zoom out another level,
yeah,
then okay, now the picture's different. Like good H2. Like the picture's different now, right? You see what I'm saying? Because now,
yeah,
okay, we gain liquidity. Okay, so for one, this is now the new range in play, right? We do
exactly.
have an internal bearish leg, right? But that's why you have to set targets appropriate to the levels of structure that you're looking at. So you have to, so if I'm referencing this leg, then I need discount pricing, transition, and then we move up. But in order for me to catch this internal transition, my target, like at the most, would have to be like here because I don't know what can happen after we sweep liquidity here. We could make no man's land. We could make another sweep. So I'm only looking at the cause, the internal transition to the external target
I see.
because
But if I can say something,
let's see.
if we are on this big
Mm-hmm.
time frame, because we are bullish, if you zoom
Mm-hmm.
in here, this is textbook Wyckoff down here,
Yeah, it is.
with a
Mm-hmm.
perfect low, and it's actually in the discount. If you pull a fib, it's in the
Yeah,
discount.
50% right around.
Yeah. So I assume that after we made the big move up, right, and we follow structure, I was like, okay, we continue. However, we Wyckoffed over here and we made another big move up. So I'm like, okay, we continue up, right?
Mm-hmm. Now we do. Yeah, for
However,
sure. For sure. For sure.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like, sorry, I was long here. I took a loss here. Um, but then it swept and did another sweep,
Mm-hmm.
and then it went up. So it's
Mm-hmm.
another schematic one.
So this is, yeah. Well, this is a
Yeah,
reaccumulation per se.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for here, I was looking for longs as well, which I didn't get. Um, but I like to say that um, your target was here, but per se, we could have just continued the Wyckoff schematic 2 up. That's why
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
maybe because I don't know what happens after this low is taken. Like, who's to say there's? I'm not saying there's a POI here, but there could be the possibility of a POI. And I would hate to see this. I would hate to see some bullshit like Like it takes my target here, it comes into a very, very deep POI. It then takes out an entry, and then it gains the internal equal lows, and then it does the thing. Like I would just hate to see that happen. So I would just guarantee that because this is like the cause is looking for this effect.
That's why when
Right.
I sold
Internal
there,
target, internal model, and external target.
yeah, I see. When I
This is
sold, this was
external
my
of external.
target.
Hmm. Yeah. If you're looking at, let's say, what is that, like 30 seconds,
Yeah,
15
15.
seconds? Yeah, then yeah, that's then the internal model of my move.
Crazy
Because
week.
let's say you take like a 15-second transition here, then that's internal model, external target. But I took the internal model, external target.
Crazy how it's all
And
the
then
same.
that's what makes the markets predictable. Like that's what makes markets trend is fractility.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Let's go ahead and start with these case studies. Yeah, so the indicator is pretty cool though. Before I go with the case studies, right? So I've kind of figured out this thing. So you guys can see here structural level current bias. Every time I change the time frame, it's only these time frames though. Any time frame that isn't a part of the list, it says it wrong. It's supposed to say inadequate. Um, but every time you switch to the time frames, like I have M1 is micro, current bias is bullish, and um it reads the bias based on the reversal break of structure. So if the reversal break of structure is below price at that structural level, then you are bullish. But then if the reversal is above price, then it is bearish. So these are meant to be, it's meant to be like a training wheel for looking at direction. And obviously liquidity is kind of built into structure too. CBOS is, and then let's say sweeping a full BOS or reversal BOS, right? How much is it going to cost? I don't know yet. Figure it out. It won't be too expensive. It won't be too expensive. I'm gonna do like a monthly subscription with, and then there's gonna be an option to just buy it one time, just to make it easy. But yeah, but you see if we change that, you see the minor swing here is bearish. But the issue that I found here was like I went through like 10, 15 different pairs, and I wanted to count the amount of levels of structure that I could find within every single pair. And they averaged out to around 8 levels to 11 levels from M1 to the monthly. So I had to create like a new categorization based on those levels. So I came out with like 8 levels. And I only put timeframes together that that matched. Like for example, if one, let's say the M15 and the M30 is a pair, which it is, um, for the most part, the level of structure that the M15 found is the same level as M30, so I paired them. Um, and that was on average over like 10, 15 pairs. So let me go ahead and find that list for you just so I can show you guys. Right here. Took me like a couple hours to even just figure this out. All right, let me show you guys. So these are the levels that I found. So the now the main thing that people need to just, the reason for using this now is these are just training wheels, and this is giving you the current bias the of the current level that you're in, right? So it's just information. It's just extra details that you can have that kind of line up with, or that can line up with your model. So now really all you have to do is look for a model if you find the specific levels of time frames that you can correlate. Like who's to say you can't use like a major intraday bias and then take a scalp entry, right? Or who's to say you can't take a minor macro bias and then take a minor swing entry, right? It's usually you're gonna have to figure this out. But once you figure those out, then you really only need to use those time frames And then this level of and if you're able to find the collaborations that work, then you've just streamlined your trading. Like you just saved yourself a lot of time and energy, and you can really use these to your advantage. Like let me just show you guys I sent an example in the um in the broadcast channel on Instagram. Let me show you guys. And then we can go ahead and get to the case studies. So this should be done by like next week, hopefully. Let's see, trading views here. So, you could this is before I had configured this part here. So ignore this. This is I just had like the AGFX watermark on here, and this was like the frame that I was doing. I didn't input the code yet for all of the time frames and stuff. Um, So just by looking at this is I also changed FBOS and RBOS. The reason why I changed them was because they just look too similar. So this is now reversal and that's now full. So like I said, if the reversal is below price, then this is gonna say bullish, right? And then if we have the CBOS, this is the first initial preliminary break, which would solidify the range to play in. So if we take out the CBOS, then now you just have to find your entry, right? And if you want to make entries easy, then just use the sell to buy that created the structural range, which would be here, right? And if you then figure out an entry based on that, then bingo, you have streamlined your trading, which as you can see here, the last sell to buy that created the structural range, the CBOS got taken out, and then now you have the big expansion. So this isn't giving you alerts. This isn't giving you trades. It's merely showing the structural rules that I have in the book, which is the three structural rules: CBOS, FBOS, and reversal. And that pretty much entirely takes over, or it pretty much not fully automates, but it streamlines the direction side, and it also implies the liquidity because obviously, right, a structural low is or a structural low and high technically is right a source of liquidity. So if you have like a CBOS, right, then you can technically use that as liquidity. And if you want to take like a sweep model, let's say we look at an internal model here, right? Let's say this is a full BOS based on this internal range. Then if this full BOS is met and you have a sweep model, then that's direction and liquidity done for. And now you just figure out how to enter, whether it's an engulfing, whether it's like literally you can be very if you're strict with direction and liquidity, you can be very flexible with the execution. You can even do break retest. Like it's not that serious. Like once you have the direction, you know where the market's going, and you analyze the liquidity, then you have the timing. You just have to figure out an excuse to enter. So that's why I have them in this order as well, because they are technically in order of importance, right? You want an external direction, right, to see where the market will go. Um, you need the map, right? You need the vehicle, and I'm sorry, you need the fuel, and then you have, right, the destination. Does that make sense? Is this helpful? Like, what do you guys think? Like I honestly, I made this for me, if I'm being honest. Like, cause I'm a lazy fuck, so like, I like to have things like ready to go. So I built this for me, and then this is also now the base to later on build right sell to buy zones, right? Like internal opposing ranges in the pro trend are technically buy to sell zones. So I can build that based on this model. And then if I have that as a sell to buy model, then now I need to have like a failed transition to have that be either a potential order flow disruption, LGC, structural disruption, right? Three core models. And then all I would need to do now is frame or find the timeframes that correlate, right? Let's say from here to here. Okay, then now I want to only take sweeps based on the CBOS. So if I take the CBOS and then I have my internal confirmation engulfing, then I have a sweep model to then pursue the external structure. Does that make sense? Like this is the base. This is the base of everything. And that's what I even mentioned in the Instagram group here, where fun fact, right? If you can properly find and note solidified points, you can then find every other concept that I use, right? My entire trading approach is built on structure. It's built on solidified points. Solidified points create structural ranges. Structural ranges, then once they are tested, right, depending on which direction, you have the CBOS, reversal BOS, right, and obviously the full BOS is the TP1 if you're looking for a pro trend uh, move. But then, like I said, you can have the final opposing structural range that then led to the creation of the pro trend structural range to then be the buy to sell to buy zone. And then now you can start to identify LGs, LGCs, structural disruptions, right? And then OFD, um, and then OFD as well. And then like I even mentioned how you could play a potential sweep, right? CBOS, um, internal sweep, engulfing, bingo, and then external high or low. That's kind of like the whole point of the indicator is to streamline. And if I can streamline, then I can get data. And if I can get the data, then I can automate it. Right. And then if I can automate it, then I don't have to do shit. So that's kind of like the whole like idea behind that. So now I guess unless you guys have any questions on that, then I can get to uh the case studies. Let me see. Let me start loading these up. So I have one I know for sure, or two, sorry, from Peter. We'll go through Peter's first. But yeah, any questions, concerns? What do you guys think? Like, am I making sense here? Like, I'm pretty much trying to plant the seed, let it grow, and enjoy the fruit. But I also want to do that without having to do anything about it. I just have to wait for it. Okay, I'll come back to yours here in a bit, Mike. Okay, so it's 3 and 3. Yeah, we'll come back. Okay. Okay, so nice. This guy is actually very diligent with the structural levels. I like it. I like it. And you see, this is also like the what the indicator can do is like it kind of just saves you this time and energy. But this is good. I like the diligency. Um, okay, so we're looking at bullish external, internal potential sweep. OFD. I guess if he's referencing this, then sure. But he's looking at potentially a sweep model here. Ah, perfect. See, this is using the structure rules to the T, right? This is perfect. This is sweep here, but this is the CBOS, so we still have to anticipate this to continue lower unless it does a reversal BOS. So that's very good, actually. That's a good note there, right? Where you might not have to wait, but either way, it did do the internal sweep here. So reversal BOS, good. And then here we had engulfing, inefficiency, engulfing, full break of structure, and then that actually creates an internal range here, right? So this internal range is solidified once this breaks. So then once this breaks and then creates the high momentum here, this high momentum is probably the reason why um, he entered here because I'm sure that's like M10, M15 engulfing. And yeah, and LGC as well. Very nice, bro. This is very nice. This is kind of using the core concepts, the playbook stuff, pretty much to the T here. And as you can see here, there was the sell to buy, which he used. This is perfect. I have no complaints here. Man, it's low-key a better trade than I take. What the fuck? Like, any questions, concerns here? Does everybody get it? External, bullish, internal, sweep, um, then internal transition into, right, the internal model. Very clean. Yeah, very, very clean. Okay, we have bearish. We hit the POI, and I think there's a transition here. I think he's in this trade right now. I think this is still playing out. This was something that some of my members were talking about, this UJ scenario, whether it was bullish or bearish. Mm, uh-huh. Sweep, unwillingness, but the unwillingness, this was actually a very aggressive trade. This one was very aggressive. Just because you kind of have to assume that this is going to be ran. Like kind of have to. I say kind of because you don't necessarily have to, but you have to kind of assume high, low, retracement, then that's going to go. So unless that is caused or that causes a disruption, then it's kind of harder to justify a a move. So this swept CBOS, right? You kind of took the CBOS and you kind of picked the low here. I think that if you would have waited for this unwillingness to happen externally, then you can frame, right, a Fibonacci, right? Or you can frame, right, the sell to buy, or even the internal sell to buy. Um, but yeah, either way, if I think, excuse me, even this might have low-key been a bit aggressive because this could have been another CBOS. But I like that the CBOS then would have also been caused by unwillingness. So that would have been a supporting factor, supporting agent here. And it actually came back down to that POI. So um that was very good. And this is still playing out. It's I agree because look at this. We were looking at this in the group. Or I was looking at this for the people in the group and I sent some screenshots earlier. Or last night, sorry. Wrong one. If you look at UJ, fuck me. Here. If you go to UJ, right? If I was looking at the H2, so you can see the current range in play, excuse me, is technically bullish, even though um the only thing I didn't like about this being bullish was the fact that you have this here. You know what I mean? So the indicator will tell you the direction of the immediate range that it's in play, right? But you have to also realize, like, as you guys probably know, like, usually when you're taking a trade, some type of level of structure is usually always against you. Like, for you to get all of them right, to get all of them aligned, like, you're probably only going to get, like, let's say where everything is aligned with this, you're probably only going to get, like, this final move, right? If you were to have every single time frame aligned. And even then, maybe the micro of the micro still wouldn't be aligned. But that's just part of the risk that you take. So the H4, right? That's it. Bullish. Oh, the H2 said bullish. H4 said bullish as well. If you go to H1, this said bullish as well. And then M30, M15, right? This still said bearish. So I was low key like still bearish on this. The only reason why I'm still low key bearish on this is because this is such a deep retracement. Um, so I like the position that he took in terms of the transition, but this is why you have to take adequate TPs. If not, yes, I could ride out a little bit longer, but um this can still kind of, wreck you. So based on the entry that he took, right? If this is why I didn't like how aggressive this was, like if he was to have taken this scenario, if he was to, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not sharing screen. Sorry, guys. If he was to have taken this scenario here, then realistically you should be looking at this as a TP. But I don't like that because it's a counter trend. You know what I mean? Like this is you're still anticipating these moves to continue lower. So I think that if you were to want to be conservative, you would have wanted to wait for this break, taking this scenario, whether it's a transition or something, right? Or you take it based on the previous structure or whatever, but then you have to take the take profit here, right? Because internal model, external target. If you wanted to take this now from the full um picture, let's say here, then like I said, I think this retracement's way too deep for one. But if I wanted to be bullish, then I need, for example, I would pretty much technically need, like it is right now, I would need this high to be taken. I would need this low to be taken to then solidify wherever this external high is, or whichever one is considered by the rules. It could be this one, but doesn't matter. Then into this low, then we have A, B, C, and then this would obviously you expect this to continue lower based on after taking this high. So I would then need like this low to then take out this high, and now I can be bullish, if that makes sense. So it would take a lot for me to fight the internal momentum. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. And if I do, I have to take like quick TPs, if that makes sense. Just a question about the private Discord group. Is that pricing for new members or for private members as well? What do you mean for the private Discord? Like the people in the private Discord already paid, so there is no. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I get what you're saying now. The obviously for members, everything is cheaper. Everything I do, everything I have, every service, product is cheaper for members, of course. Okay, so first case study here. It's actually just look now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I don't like this because this is CBOS, low, high, retracement, and I'm still kind of anticipating this to go higher. So I would wait for a sweep, transition, then I would look for that type of position. Um, oh, but it worked out. Nice. It worked out. See, so I probably would have waited for this momentum move here because that broke this structure. And then I would have just could reference the buy to sell. And then this could have been my entry to then continue lower.
Yes,
So
my
it
idea
worked.
was to aim for the buy to sell,
Hmm.
sorry, for the sell to buy,
Hmm.
because then from there the price can take like the liquidity necessary for going up and to reach again the high and make another full break of structure. In fact, this
Hmm.
I took like around like 130, and then in the
Hmm.
afternoon like went to make the full break of structure. But I noticed that in these days I made like a lot counter trend trades. Like
Hmm.
I took
Hmm.
in 1 minute, 2 minutes. I don't know why, but maybe I don't know. Took this kind of trades like so.
Yeah, the problem with trying to take this scenario is you're assuming that this is gonna bounce from here. Like it could just bounce from here. Like if it just let me make that straight. If it bounces from here, then this would have been an unnecessary loss. And it tried to react. If you can see, like there's an engulfing here, internal break. Like this wanted to go higher, it just didn't work out. So I would rather just wait, right? So for here, if this is a technically a bearish pullback of low to high, just wait for the reversal break of structure. Wait for the reversal break of structure, then look for the buy to sell that caused the break of structure, and then um that's your point of interest to sell lower because if you then have this, then your first TP is here. But the only thing I didn't like about taking that position is I would have liked to see this wick that and then give that move because then I can then even use a Fibonacci as well because this would be a solidified high. And then once we break here, solidified low. So then I would just look for an entry anywhere here and then TP1 and then etc. TP2. So yeah, I just think it's a bit aggressive. Like I would wait for the full transition. Hmm. Okay, so let's see. This one I also think is a little aggressive. I don't know what the external is here, but I do like that you have this model here. I do like that because this technically is like an overall pullback. But the only thing throwing me off is that you had structural disruption here. So even if we get the reaction, you're gonna have to be very like attentive of what happens at this buy to sell to see if it's gonna hold or not. But if this holds, then if you like either go break even or try your stop or however you do it, if this holds in this area, then you're aiming now here. Because if you wait for, let's say, here in this situation, you have like a sweep, I'm sorry, a structural disruption to the downside, meaning that you're internally bearish. You wait for the pullback. That pullback sweeps, gives you an internal transition. Then this buy here is you can now aim for this high, but this high is TP1. But that's after the transition. So let's see how this worked out. Yeah, see, it ended up going to the POI because this is disruption. Disruption, POI, then it swept, and then now here, maybe I could have justified a buy here, but it actually broke through this structure too. So no, if it only would have swept here with holding this structure, maybe I could have justified it. But now that it took out the bearish here, this is just CBOS. So this bearish CBOS, if we're looking at buy to sell, this is the buy to sell. So did it reach that high? Yes, it did. So then buy to sell, then you go lower. But yeah, this second position, unwillingness, sure, yeah, technically. And they also technically have like a micro order flow disruption. So the pro trend, even though I don't know if this is like a model that you have, but it's not a model that I would use. But because this worked out because it's in pro trend. And it's pro trend after you break here, but you then have the reaction from the buy to sell, and then you have this break. So then any transition here is a justification to go for here. So this is from a trend direction. That's correct.
Yes, from I was in front of the charts on the time
Mm-hmm.
of the second position, and I saw
Mm-hmm.
like that in the 5 minutes something like saw like broke with some kind of volume. I saw like a good red candle that broke like kind of preliminary break of structure like on the 1 minute right there on the second position. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like took the limit, got filled, and went like straight to profit. But I considered that unwillingness, and because of that unwillingness, I knew that then my target like was kind of the low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. So this is wait, so you're saying like this is like an engulfing or like
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
something I saw like was going with kind of momentum down. Then there was the spike right there
Mm-hmm.
that I can't indicate right now, but yeah, there was a spike, and then got filled and went to profit. But because of that, like kind of internal unwillingness to me, like
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, this like failed to break the high or even swept, and
Mm-hmm.
next thing is that that's to go down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine because we broke here after we took this POI. Once this breaks, you can use the Fibonacci here to here, and you can like let's say you take a 71, which is right around there, and you can be aggressive with the stop loss, or you can have your stop loss here because if we break this high here, then this would be order flow disruption, which would invalidate the bearish bias.
Okay,
So you could have taken it a couple ways here too.
okay.
And then this continuation, once I see like the two reasons why I change or I move my stop is at LG or if I have like order flow creating a new low and it's impulsive, then I can move my stop.
Okay.
Okay. hmm Okay, so the POI is valid. You could the thing is it's valid in terms of like this is probably like a candle here, but if we're using the full sell to buy, this is the sell to buy. So it's already mitigating and we already have the reaction. So then if this breaks, then the order flow internally is bearish. So you would want to wait for a transition to then aim for here. Um, Cool. Yeah. So see, so like if I wanted to take in this trade, I would have wanted to see this POI be top. You can see the bullish transition here. And easily once this breaks, I technically have an internal range. Like this isn't unwillingness to me until this breaks. So I can also either do a inefficiency position, then invalidation SL, or I could do low, high Fibonacci, and then take this to the high.
Yes, and
So
the second scenario
if you
would
wait a
be
little
like,
bit more, if you wait a little bit more, this is how you're going to increase your win rate.
okay, okay. Yeah, on the second scenario for me was kind of a bit more difficult to take the position because also the momentum, the candle went
This,
down.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I was looking at the first one because there was kind of like more like um slow, yeah, like it was more slow, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
then reached the POI and from there went on. But I was like aware that could have been like a kind of a risky position. Also because
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to take like fully from the API because most of the time also on the testing I can
Mm-hmm.
see that price is like reaching the API and having like a little bit of reaction and then like fully bring it to the downside. So I take it
Mm-hmm.
like on time frame, then I'm like extremely sure, and I know that when there is like a full break of structure after the other one, that can give me like the window to kind of aim for the next one. But I do like
Mm-hmm.
when it's
Mm-hmm.
fresh,
Mm-hmm.
the movement.
Yeah, usually it works better when you already have the full break of structure and then you have a brand new high. But like for example, here you see how you sweep, and then you convert, and then you could take the entry. It's the exact same thing with wicks. So for example, here you take a wick, you have the internal transition, and then you come back, even though it's an engulfing, you take the entry. So this could have been another entry, but it's the same principle. You sweep, you give transition, and then you enter. It's the same thing here. You sweep, you transition, and you enter. And then SL would be here. So it's the same
Okay.
principle. So it's just so you have so you're correct in terms of you're able to you're able to how do I say this? You're able to what's the word? Not justify. You're able to tell me or you're able to explain to me how to find a bias and play on it. That's excellent. That's like number one when being a trader. You want to be able, it doesn't matter how you trade, what you trade. If you can explain to me why you're entering and you have conviction in that, then that's perfect. It doesn't matter what you trade at that point. But you also have to understand that the same justifications for the internal is, or for let's say level base level here, let's say, is also the same for the internal, and it's also the same for the external.
Okay. Still have to get some internal and external thing because it's
Mhm.
kind of complicated at the beginning, but yeah, it's going
Yeah.
to
So then
be
you have to understand now less is more.
yeah. Also I have psychological question that like the
Hmm.
first
Hmm.
trade of the day usually it goes into loss because I'm like taking the most dumbest trade in the whole day. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And then the second trade, the third trade, I get back on it and I'm like better. I can see better movements and better things. I don't know why. In the whole week, I took like at least one loss per day, and usually it comes like the first trade of the day. Then on the second
Hmm.
one, third one, like I get way better. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm able to take this kind of position,
Hmm.
and I
Then
don't
that
know how
just
to
means
manage that.
that do you wake up and then start trading?
Yes, I wake up around
Yeah,
8:30,
that's probably it.
and
Like
okay,
for example, I don't know if you guys drink coffee, but you're not supposed to wake up and drink coffee because you're supposed to want your body to naturally wake up before you take caffeine. So like it's the same with me. Like I'll wake up like at 7 a.m., but my window is I trade the even though New York session, like the currency trading section or session, sorry, opens at 7 a.m. my time, which is 8 a.m. New York. The New York Stock Exchange opens at 8:30 my time, which is 9:30 New York. So I'll wake up from like 7:30 or 7 to 8, but I'm not looking at charts yet. Like if anything, like I'll either go get some water, I'll clean up my room a little bit. I'll not focus on trades yet. Like I'll open up my trading view, whatever, like see what happened, like you know what I mean? Like check on SF, did I make some profit? How much profit did I make? Like I'll do that, but I won't execute for like a good hour. hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours until until after that, like 2 hours after I've woken up. Like if you go to my EU trade real quick before we finish up the case studies, the if you go to this, right, my execution was a bit late. Yeah, you see, like my execution here was at 10 in the morning, 10 in the morning. You see, that's 3 hours after I woke up. And like I could have definite like there's scenarios to trade here. Like like for example, just obviously off of hindsight, but we have CBOS. This could be an engulfing internally, but you then have the transition, and then I could take hello high and then take this entry to the previous high. That's a potential entry that I could have taken. But I'm waiting for a potential setup, but I'm also waiting for myself to be fully awake.
I think it's also that one the reason.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, don't wake up and just trade like it's looking kind of bad. Okay. Like you wake up with I don't know about y'all, but I wake up with brain fog sometimes. Like even if I like drink or something, or if I don't take magnesium, like I take magnesium zinc before I sleep, and sometimes I'll take melatonin because I struggle to fall asleep. But if you do struggle to sleep, you could just take magnesium zinc, and it should improve the quality of your REM sleep. Okay. Um. Okay, so we're looking at internal bullish trend. Yes, solidified here, but I don't like that this had a reaction. That's structural disruption, meaning that this order flow, high to low, this pullback, it means that this order flow is still bearish. So I'm anticipating price to still take out this low. Still take that low. And so I would need this break to then see what would happen after that. And then this would also be a CBOS. So here we now have the internal high, low retracement. Okay, now we have this, but it's a POI. And also, what time of day is this? Like pre-New York?
It's like right before London session.
Okay, right before London session. Okay. Oh, this was last night. I was looking at this last night.
Yeah, that was
This
last
is
night.
I'm
I
also
was I was gonna wait on the top to break, but I was about to go to my bed, so I'm like, okay, fuck it, I'll just take it and go to bed.
yeah. Yeah, the problem here is this is right if you're looking for the ABC, but the ABC is invalidated like here with the structural disruption. So I need like not only the high to break, but then I need either a sweep or a disruption on top of that to change my bias. So like high to low, retracement, break the low, retracement, break the low, CBOS, but the order flow is still bearish. So CBOS, I still have to assume this to take lower. So then this is the sweep because I was looking at this last night too. I was looking at this on there was like a bunch of like little traps that I didn't want to take. I don't like to take trades in between 12 and 2 my time, which is the gap between my Asia session and my London session. So like this gap here between um 15 minutes. Like this gap here, I don't like to take that. I don't like to take that. Because technically, like this scenario here would technically be valid. This is probably if I was trading at the time, I probably would have taken a loss here. This if I'm looking at like POI here, internal sweep, M15 engulfing, like I would have expected this to kind of just go higher. So I probably would have taken a loss there. But I wouldn't take a trade in between the London and the Asia. I would not take a position there. I just don't like that time frame. Like I usually only trade if I'm awake, like after the London Open and after the New York Open, or during the New York Open per se. And then obviously my Asia kill zone. I really like my Asia kill zone. But yeah, bro, don't just say fuck it and take a trade. See,
Yeah, it would. That's why I said it's very aggressive because I
yeah, yeah,
couldn't wait until like I get the reaction there because I was gonna bet.
yeah, definitely. Because this conservative one, yeah, I do like this. And then with these conservative ones, if they don't have like the internal solidification, like let's say if you would have bought here, then I would have been way more confident. But with these, especially with when you take these, I would 100% trail your stop because what you're doing, rather than catching a transition, you're just catching the 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 internal move. So you don't know when it's gonna stop or pull back. You know what I mean? So I would like trail my stop aggressively. Like here, you go up a little bit more. Okay, fuck it. Put it here, here, every low. And then you probably would have been taken out here.
Yeah, I have like two trailing. My first trailing was right here, and then the next one was right here, and now I'm right here.
This is like the proper way to try your stop is once you have the sweep, or LG basically. Once this high breaks, you can move your stop here. And then your TP is here. So I would like already like be moving the TP.
I think it's coming back down to my stop loss, the last trailing right now
Ex Yeah,
in the live
exactly.
market.
That's why. Because if you're here, right, and your stop loss is here, you're risking all of this profit for a little bit more profit. Like I'm like, no, I've had too many times where I have this PTSD. I don't know if you guys storytelling. I don't know if you guys remember this, but this is like a year ago, 2 years ago. Oh no, it's like 3, 4 years ago now. The Euro GBP, I had like swing. I was like on H4. I found like an entry and I was swinging and I was looking for this. And it came back to like the last possible fucking POI. And then it took me break even like 3, 4 days of holding. And then I ate swap. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I've added this rule over the years. Like, once I'm like, let's say 85 to 90% of my way through my TP, I'm just gonna aggressively, um, I'm gonna aggressively move my stop because I'm not going to risk all of this profit just for this little squeeze. But yeah, 3 more, and then probably call it a day after that.
No,
Okay.
wait, I have them in the Discord.
Oh, you have some in the Discord? Oh, okay. We can
Yeah.
go over those too. We can go over those too.
Well, this
Damn,
is
I feel like
today.
uh-huh.
This is a trade of today. We're bullish. We solidify. Maybe solidify here. And then you came up and did this, but I would not say that this is unwillingness. This is more like leaving liquidity,
Well,
I would
it is.
say, and the return to zone would be better over
Mhm.
here with all these highs to take. So after the CBOS, if you zoom in on the other screenshot, the other one. Yeah, we have the CBOS here, and then I would just wait for a transition, which occurred here, which is an order flow disruption. The
It
1
actually
minute.
happened here.
This is, oh yeah, this was maybe,
Engulfing.
yeah, this was good
Yeah,
as well.
definitely.
But I took it
I don't
here.
consider this on OFD.
Really, this, if you zoom on the 1 minute, this is a nice, like,
Oh, it's a 1 minute. Okay.
yeah, this is a 2 minute, like, POI.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Yeah, 2 minute POI, but the 1 minute did give like 2 candles down, and this is the sell to buy with a nice engulfing. So yeah,
I
that's the
think
trade.
yeah, so to correct here, this does make stuff bearish. Like this is internal, or this is unwillingness if we have this engulfing and then internal break. So now that means that internal order flow is bearish. So you just have to wait for the transition to bullish to continue this bias. But that just means this is fine because just like the UCAD trade, things can, even if you're coming into POI, this can transition bearish, then it can transition bullish, and then it can transition bearish again, just like that. 1, 2. It's like it went, and if you understand that, then uh, that means that even if you lose maybe the first trade, maybe the next time it doesn't, you don't lose. But yeah, technically this is unwillingness, and it does make you bearish. But that's why you wait for the transition.
Really, I completely disagree with you.
Because if you
I
if you
think this POI was created with inducement to just give you a Wyckoff
Mhm,
over here, and then after the transition happened, yeah,
mhm,
they just inducement here to the POI this one, and this was a 20-minute with engulfing. This was a 20-minute.
mhm.
And after this break and transition, I was like, let's go in. This was today, and
Mhm.
yeah,
Technically, this is also OFD here.
exactly. This
Mhm,
OFD is good with the CBOS, because my trade happened after it.
mhm.
Because this
Because
OFD, it's not a reason for me to buy it, but it just gives me like the confluence to look for longs again.
to look for a
Because
transition, basically.
yeah,
Mhm.
this was over here, the OFD,
Mhm.
and after that, you just take this small OFD transition over here, and
Mhm.
yeah, it was a good one today.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's the SD here, which is cool, and then this is like 71 fib could be. And then I if we had the M1, then I'd probably see the OFD. But even if you didn't catch that, you can also just catch this.
Exactly, yeah.
And this is actually like super conservative because now we've fully broken through the OFD and we've created not only structural disruption but unwillingness here. But yeah, that's good. Good. Uh, this one. Fuck my eyes. God. Okay. CBOS. Uh-huh. I see. Internal equal highs. Highs are taken. They you then break internally here, and then you use the buy to sell. Very good. Very good.
I have two more into this.
Mhm. I have one more on here.
Okay.
Fuck, I don't want to see the result. Fuck. I don't like to see the result. I want to see it play out. Um, okay, CBOS. I like this. This is key here. Then that break, and then that gives you like if you go to M1, there's like a buy to sell here probably, which is that POI potentially. There's a sell to buy, and then that would be very good. This is also a good entry because I mean a good TP because excuse me, if you have high to low, if you put your Fibonacci there, here's probably the negative 27.
Yeah, put the fib.
Yeah.
I
Oh, you did put
didn't.
the Fib?
Yeah, I did put the
Mhm,
fib because like the low there right there. I didn't.
mhm,
I had like a treasure risk reward, so I was like, okay, I have to put my take profit, and I was like, if the direction is correct, I put my fib, for sure it's going to be there. It's going to arrive there, and
mhm,
the fact is later also break the external POI that I just choiced.
mhm. Okay, I see. But yeah, as long as you keep your rules consistent, I don't mind. But the reason why the negative 27, I'll show you guys after we go through these, why I even use that. Yeah, see, the sell to bet, yeah, that worked. Because this is good. Because this is like if you want to reach I don't want to say profitability. I just want to say consistency. If you want to like the first level of consistency is if you can get these initial TPs, these wins consistently. Because if you can get these wins consistently and you now have your data, then now look at those winners and see how many times the TP can be extended. And then and then after you notice that if there's like a lot of scenarios where let's say every time you take a an intraday internal continuation via scalp and it's like based on let's just say it's based on Fibonacci and you always take your take profit at the full BOS, well maybe 35 out of the last 45 trades, you could have extended the TP. So then maybe you can start adjusting there, and that's improving your models. But the first thing at first is always to get the consistency, right? Being able to conjure up an idea, an approach, apply it to the chart, and have it work consistently. That's step number one. Which is kind of, I just call it like implementation of an idea. If you can do that consistently with consistent logic, then bingo, you're good. Um, Open link. Link. Open link. You copied my chart colors then.
Yeah, a little bit. I want to get it in the right mindset, you know? This one was it's in my trading journal. I delete my charts, so I just copy. But this was like your trade
Mhm.
that you took. I took it off a 15-second just break a structure here, but there was a 3-minute engulfing. That's why it's on the 3-minute. That maybe it would have been a better.
Mhm.
Um,
As long as your invalidation is like here, anything
yeah,
is cool.
yeah. My validation wasn't there actually because uh I use only 1%, and I kind of missed the calculation on the lots. So I was like,
Ah,
okay, this is what if we come up here, then we might as well break it. That was
yeah,
like
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
which was why my RR is so high on this trade. It's higher than your trade, even though the TP is
Hmm.
way closer.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It's all
actually,
ratios. That's the ratios, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
I didn't really move my stop loss, and thank God because it actually came to entry. And it likes to do that sometimes, and then it went to
Mhm.
TP.
That's
This was
why
a
I no, finish.
this was a good trade for me because I passed another challenge with it.
Hmm.
This was like a 10R for me, so I'm very happy. But yeah, pretty
Cool.
simple.
Yeah, this is why I implemented the LG to move my invalidation. Because like once, for example, if I'm taking my position here and then I have this LG, then I can move my invalidation from here to here. And then here, CBOS, but I need to break a low. So once this low breaks, invalidation from here, here.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I like to move it. Like you can even justify it here, high to low, invalidation. But this one's a bit more aggressive. Like
This
I
is
probably would
aggressive,
have,
yeah.
yeah, it's a little aggressive, yeah. Um, because that could just be an internal CBOS and it's not like an actual solidification. But yeah, that's good. That's good.
And this one
Okay,
was
and it's
like,
my Wyckoff.
yeah, if you zoom out, it's like after the big move up on EU.
Mm-hmm.
We are the premium, so I'm looking for shorts, even though the leg is bullish for me. And what I saw was this POI I didn't see, which is actually great. Thank you for the
Buy to sell.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we were making a range. We deviated the range once. We deviated twice. This is a Wyckoff model 1. We broke inside the range, and after
Mm-hmm.
this bearish engulfing entry, stop loss, target at the bottom of the
Mm-hmm.
range, and this actually moved way down, like towards the bottom of
Way,
this.
way lower. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So whatever, man. A win's a win.
Mm-hmm. I like that. See, this is also why I'm implementing the rule with the I'm not just gonna wait for the sweep engulfing here. I have to wait for the A, B, C internally to give me the unsubstantial new low, give me the engulfing, and then take the position.
That's why I started implementing this
Yeah.
because we used the liquidity gap continuation. I was kind of like seeing that we're hoping for a Wyckoff model 2,
Mm-hmm.
but it actually can still be a model 1 with like 2 deviations and like an up thrust, and then we fall through the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah,
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Yeah, and these engulfings are super cool. I really like them
super.
on M10 and M15. I really like them.
M3 is strong.
M3 is also
Watch
pretty
out for
cool. Yeah,
M3.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like CBOS, because I was when I was thinking about the rules, it's like I don't want to match up a time frame. I don't want to like scan through time frames to look for the engulfing. I'd rather just have something a little bit more what's the word? I don't want to say concrete, a little bit more, let's just say stable. Like I wanted an approach a little bit more stable, so that's why I implemented the ABC internal. So if I then get the unsubstantial new high here, and then even if there's like low volume here, that's kind of perfect too. That'd be cool. Um, And then you could reference the entire sell to buy if there's like a break, or you can then wait for there's another internal sweep here, and then the engulfing, and then yeah, you could take that.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice. But yeah, also like I actually I think that's it for the case studies. A couple things before we finish up. I'm actually gonna start looking at cryptos because I went through Vantage, the broker, and I was looking at my perpetual account. Well, I opened up a perpetual account just to see like what it's like. And I've never traded perpetuals, right? And perpetuals are technically like crypto futures. So the I was looking at like my spreads and all of that. There's actually no swaps on that too. And I actually have let me just show you guys on Discord. Um we go here. I was looking at the margins on a 1 to 500 perpetual account on Vantage, and I just kind of took note of. I like to take note of whenever I'm trading like new assets, like if I'm looking at indexes or let's say I'm trying to look at gold, I mean at silver or palladium or something like that. I like to take note of the margins and stuff, margins, and then how the pip counts work. Let me see. Let's see. Ah, here, found it. Share this screen here. Um, So I was looking at the perpetual account, and I'm only gonna look into like the main cryptos, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Ripple maybe. Those are like the only ones I'm gonna look at for now. But I like that it's directly with the broker, and the spread is always at one because it's technically like a futures contract. From what I know, I'm maybe dumb, but you have 2 to 3 dots. I'll come back to you. Hold on. But I like the spreads here, and then I was looking at, I was just like, I opened up like a demo on there, and I wanted to see what the margins were. And I just typed it out. So for reference, like EU, this is like what it would be on a 1 to 500. Um, the pip count, the charges that I get, and then the margin required per 0.01, just so I can then calculate risk if necessary and stuff like that. So XRP, the contract sizing, it didn't let me do micro lots. It only let me do standards. And that was the same with I think it was there was another one. I think it was Shiba that only let me do like a standard or whatever. But I'm gonna take off Litecoin. I don't give a fuck about Litecoin, but this one was the only one that only let me do standards, and the standard is $300 in margin on the 1 to 500, and it was like $30 per, so like about 3 pips pretty much of charges because there's no swap. So the swap or there's like an administration fee when you don't have swaps, and that's directly into the charges. Um, and I was looking at this and like it actually like is very do like you can trade these perpetual accounts with like like not that much capital. Like yeah, it's a CFD, but it's a like decentralized market, so the pricing isn't all that too different. And I'm gonna start looking to see if I can catch some trades or like just start looking at crypto in the weekends, especially now because we have more data. That was like my main excuse. That was like my cope for not looking at crypto was there wasn't enough data. But now stuff is like moving decently. Now here we can check it out. After I go over this guy's doubts. Let me share my Discord. Is that no man's land? Low, high, retracement. No, this is A, B, C, D. No, it's not no man's land. Did you mark them right? Logical entries. I mean, depends on the models you're looking at, bro. I don't know what models you're looking at. OFD. The OFD here is consistent, but it didn't fully break. So there's three things that can happen to POI: open 50% or LG of the closure. And even though the third one, the LG of the closure is, I mean, the LG of the POI is not as common, it does happen. And I'll show you guys just one quick example before start shutting off. But you have the internal leg. This not the I don't know how you would take this, if I'm being honest. I don't know. The only way I can think is if you're taking the full buy to sell right there. That's the only way I could see you doing that. And that would be like taking a sell based on the open and then SL at the high. That would be one way. But then you also now have the LGC model here. And then this, I don't know how you would have taken that entry here. I don't know how you would have taken that because the buy to sell is there. So it did a reach. And then, well, yeah, now we have the buy to sell here. So this entry would have been legitimate with TP1 here. But because you have unwillingness, and if this reaches its TP, then this is now unwillingness, and you can then aim for here. So it just depends. Like I don't know how your models are. Like I usually don't even answer questions like that. Please provide the logic behind this trade. Didn't I talk about this on the last stream? Oh no, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I don't think so. CBOS, but this is an engulfing. Right, the engulfing. Let me see if I can find that. This was the 25th. Yeah, this is here. So this was during my, I believe it was during my Asia Killzone. Yeah, it was during my Asia Killzone. I did take it and during that time. Oh, and by the way, the sessions is gonna come with this too. I'm probably gonna give it to my admins first, see them use it. Hope you don't have any bugs on them, and then I'll make it available to the public. So the reason why I was even considering the bullish bias here was yes, we had the very big engulfing like bull bearish thing here, but once we took low number one, low number two relative equal lows, we have, I'm gonna just use the annotations. We have a point of interest here. The point of interest here is causing the bullish reaction, but this isn't a reason to buy. I'm just analyzing this as something that's occurring. So I know that there's bullish order flow intact, and I'm looking at this during my Asia kill zone. I believe it was M5, M10. Yes. So I was using my sweep model. So you see, it doesn't always do the internal ABC, but it actually did do the ABC internally here, where like you can see there's, oh, let me first highlight the sweep here. I can like just going off M1. Obviously, I'm not gonna take this off M1, but there's an M1 engulfing after the sweep. That doesn't mean I'm gonna buy yet because I still want the A, B, C to continue. So then there's that sweep, and then there's this engulfing. So this could have been a legitimate high risk sweep. And this would have provided me way bigger risk to reward, but I didn't do that on this time frame. But my reason for entry was the M10. So once we swept that low, M10 engulfing, and then I just bought. And this is why I always aim for the internal target because I hit my internal target and then it reversed or then I did some bullshit.
It says on the your indicator a reversal, but it was just a sweep. Are you planning to change that, or just like Tells you.
because you have to use multi-time frame. Like this is just telling you what this would technically be. Well, what this would be in this time frame, but I'm correlating also the external stuff, right? Which is technically could be reversal here. But this doesn't mean that because we're in this range, that doesn't mean I always want to sell. But also if I do want to sell based on this time frame, I would want to wait for here. So I really just took this because I like the setup during the time of the Asia session. And I just had the conviction there.
Well, what is the skills on you talk about?
The third hour of new day to the fifth hour.
See, and it's like there's a lot of volatility there.
Yeah, that's when the Asian market's open. Like I use it on UJ, AU, and gold. If you get gold.
Okay.
Yeah, see, pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Very cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Sweet. TP. Pretty neat. Sometimes it doesn't give a move, but it's relatively consistent. This
I
is
like
just
that.
my observation. This is my observation. This is like I don't want to say intuition, but just something I've seen too many times to not recognize it. Like it does give a like you see like these moves they like kind of show up, and like, from a scout POV they can be really good on UJ too, especially on UJ it likes to move. But yeah, I like the kill zone. This thing like this gave me the 71 during kill zone, and then aim for full BOS.
Incredible.
Cool. Yeah, because I only trade I don't really trade much what's it called? The London session because bro, it's like 3 a.m. for me. Like I like to sleep, you know?
So you would say any session's good if you pair the correct pair with it. If you go Asia, go for the Australian and the Japanese. If you go London, maybe go
Sure,
for British
sure,
pound.
sure. Sure is yes, but no. Like the something that I don't know if any of my private group members are in here, but I think it was last year when I said I wanted last year to be the year where we break beliefs. Like there's a very big quote from Alex Ramosi that I really like, and it's we question we question every belief except the beliefs that we really believe in because we never even think to question those. So what that basically means is like I don't know. There's stuff that like you by default believe in and you never think to question. Like I'm gonna just give you a stupid example. Like I don't think like I'm not trying to get into rabbit hole or whatever, blah, blah, but I don't think to question that the world is like not a globe. I don't think to question that because it's so engraved in my head. But because so that's something that's so engraved in my head that I never even think to question it. So when it comes to my trading, I want to be able to question everything and I want to be flexible. I want to be dynamic with whatever that I do. So if I say I can't trade Asia session because justification, like says who? Says why? You know what I mean? So I'm always trying to be open and flexible to whatever the fuck or to anything, literally anything. Like I'm even open now to if I have direction liquidity, you could even build an execution model around support and resistance. Why would we not trade support and resistance? Oh, because retail this and that. No. Like the biggest red flag I see from any trader is when they say that something doesn't work and they say that their stuff does work because they're not wrong and they're not right. They're right and they're wrong because it's not about what you're trading. It's about the application of it, right? The nuance to it, your touch to it. That's what makes something valuable. That's what makes something effective. Does that make sense? So I like this kill zone because it's something that I've seen. So I'm gonna start looking at it, and if it works, and I'm gonna use it, and that's it. Like I'm never gonna say
Love
never,
it.
pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to be open, you want to be strict, but you want to be open. You get what I'm saying? Because why the fuck not? You know?
Yeah, what if it's a fucking golden opportunity you're missing because you never
Exactly,
question
bro.
it?
Like, do you play sports?
I used to swim.
You used to swim, bro. Who's to say you wouldn't have been the best golfer out there? I'm not saying you could. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you would have been, but I'm saying you could have been. And the possibility should just give you the open-mindedness to at least go try something new, because you just don't know, you know? So I just want to keep that strictly with trading, but the principle like kind of applies everywhere. That makes sense. So yeah, you want to be open, but you want to be strict. You want to be dynamic, but you want to be direct. Like yes and no, correct and correct, bullish and
Yeah, what if I'm
biased.
not the fucking best UJ trader on the planet?
Yeah, who's to say you're not the fucking best CAD JPY trader there's ever been? Like everybody on fucking in social media, everybody trades the same shit. This is why I don't like futures, because I'm not trying to trade NQ. Everyone trades NQ. And I personally don't give a fuck what your bias is. Like cool. But that's it. Who's to say you're not the best EuroCAD trader out there? Like really, like I want to like over time, once I finish like the book, ASIV, and like the stuff that I have planned, like I want to start looking at like these like Aussie yen. Like for example, if I'm trading UJ and AU in Asia session, then realistically AJ should also work in my kill zone. That like just by in theory. So eventually I could start trying that out. You see? Like but it's just a
You
matter
gotta
of
put in
like
the
I think you
work.
always kind of have to but I mean you kind of always have to though, because I don't believe in being stagnant. I believe in you're either going up or down. You see what I'm saying? But
I guess you get comfortable with certain pairs and then
exactly. So
kind of
you don't
stick
stay
to them.
stagnant. You become lazy and then you slip up. And then if you don't fix that slip up, the slip ups get worse. And then you get a bad month, let's say, and then okay, what are you gonna do now? Then that decision is very important. You see what I'm saying?
I'll look
But
into
yeah,
this.
I'm
Let me write this down.
pretty sure I'm gonna call it here. Um, I'm gonna call it here. I'm gonna stop the recording and then I can probably show you guys one last thing before. But if you guys can do me a favor, if you guys can act like I'm ending the stream right now and
Bye. Thank you.
just say goodbye messages, and then I want to take a quick picture of that on my chat so I can post it on my Instagram to be cool. Cool. Any more before I end the stream? Actually, I'll just go ahead and end it. It's fine.